He's opening his laptop.
Okay, live stream is going. Andrea, Draupadi, we're live streaming for you today. In case you're resting and watching on YouTube. We love you, Andrea. Come back. Okay. Translation.
I can close.
What's that, Adi?
I'm going to close my phone because Gershwin is opening the laptop.
Yeah, okay. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada. This is the last chapter that Srila Prabhupada translated. The next chapter is by his humble servants, it says. Translation. The Vishnu Murtis all had eternal, unlimited forms, full of knowledge and bliss, and existing beyond the influence of time. Their great glory was not even to be touched by the Gyanis engaged in studying the Upanishads. Purport. Mere Shastra Jnana, or knowledge in the Vedas, does not help anyone understand the personality of Godhead. Only one who is favored or shown mercy by the Lord can understand him. This is also explained in the Upanishads, Mundaka Upanishad 323. Translation. The Supreme Lord is not obtained by expert explanations, by vast intelligence, or even by much hearing. He is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. I'm thinking of Gaura Sharan. He's chosen by Krishna to obtain Krishna. One description given of Brahman is Satyam Brahma Ananda Rupam. Brahman is the absolute truth and complete Ananda or bliss. The forms of Vishnu, the supreme Brahman, were one, but they were manifested differently. The followers of the Upanishads, however, cannot understand the varieties manifested by Brahman. This proves that Brahman and Paramatma can actually be understood only through devotion, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhaktyamam Ekya Grahya, Bhagavatam 11:14-21. To establish that Brahman indeed has transcendental form, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives various quotations from the Shastras. In the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.8, the Supreme is described as Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. He whose self-manifest form is luminous, like the sun, and transcendental to the darkness of ignorance. Ananda Matram Ajaram Purnam Ekam Santam Bahuda Drishyamanam. The Supreme is blissful, with no tinge of unhappiness. Although he is the oldest, he never ages. And although one, he is experienced in different forms. Sarve nitya sasvatas cha dehas tasya paratmanaha. All the forms of the Supreme Person are eternal. Mahavaraha Purana. The Supreme Person has a form with hands and legs and other personal features, but his hands and legs are not material. Bhaktas know that the form of Krishna or Brahman is not at all material. Rather, Brahman has a transcendental form, and when one is absorbed in it, being fully developed in bhakti, one can understand him. Premajana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. The Mayavadis, however, cannot understand this transcendental form, for they think it is material. Transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his person, are so great that the impersonal followers of the Upanishads cannot reach the platform of knowledge to understand them. Particularly, the transcendental forms of the Lord are beyond the reach of the impersonalists, who can only understand through the studies of the Upanishads that the absolute truth is not matter, and then the absolute truth is not materially restricted by limited potency. Yet, although Krishna cannot be seen through the Upanishads, in some places it is said that Krishna can in fact be known in this way. Upanishadam Purusham, he is known by the Upanishads. This means that when one is purified by Vedic knowledge, one is then allowed to enter into devotional understanding. Mad bhaktim labhate param. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti, Bhagavatam 1-12. The word Shruta grihitaya refers to Vedanta knowledge, not sentimentality. Shruta grihita is sound knowledge. Lord Vishnu, Brahma thus realized, Lord Brahma thus realized, is the reservoir of all truth, knowledge, and bliss. He is the combination of these three transcendental features. And he is the object of worship for the followers of the Upanishads. Brahma realized that all the different forms of cows, boys, and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by mysticism of the type that a yogi or demigod can display by specific powers invested in him. The cows, calves, and boys transformed into Vishnu Murtis or Vishnu forms were not displays of Vishnu Maya or Vishnu energy, but were Vishnu himself. The respective qualifications of Vishnu and Vishnu Maya are just like those of fire and heat. In heat, there is the qualification of fire, namely warmth, and yet heat is not fire. The manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys, cows, and calves was not like the heat, but rather like the fire. They were all actually Vishnu. Factually, the qualification of Vishnu is full truth, full knowledge, and full bliss. Another example may be given with material objects, which may be reflected in many, many forms. For example, the sun is reflected in many water pots, but the reflections of the sun in many pots are not actually the sun. There is no actual heat and light from the sun in the pot, although it appears as the sun. But each and every one of the forms Krishna assumed was fully Vishnu. We should discuss Srimad Bhagavatam daily as much as possible. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. And then everything will be clarified. For Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedic literature. Nigama Kalpa Taror Galitam Palam. It was written by Vyasadeva Mahamuni Krite when he was self-realized. Thus, the more we read Srimad Bhagavatam, the more its knowledge becomes clear. Each and every verse is transcendental. This is the end of the purport by Srila Prabhupada's Divine Grace. Now His Grace Gaura Sharan Prabhu will take us further into the forest.
Thank you, Anand Bihari Prabhu. Sorry for being. Om Ajnanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshyam Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamshyam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Reading the translation again. The Vishnumurtis all had eternal, unlimited forms full of knowledge and bliss and existing beyond the influence of time. Their great glory was not even to be touched by the Gyanis engaged in studying the Upanishads. So we read this purport by Srila Prabhupada, where Prabhupada is explaining various things, especially how the Supreme Lord's form is made of complete bliss. And Gyanis cannot understand this form, which is either the Vishnu forms that Krishna is showing or Krishna's form, that the Gyanis cannot understand or not even grasp, even though they are engaged in the study of the Upanishads. However, only through devotional service, bhaktya ham ekaya grahya. Prabhupada says only through devotion, the form of the Lord could be understood. What to speak of the form of the Lord? Prabhupada writes a very revolutionary statement. This proves that Brahman and Paramatma can actually be understood only through devotion, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. That means even the absolute truth has three features. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabhyate. That advaya substance, that non-dual substance, it's such a paradox. The non-dual substance has three features. If it is non-dual, it should only have one feature, but it is non-dual, but it has three features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So how do we understand this? Except for the Achintya Beda philosophy, no other philosophy can accommodate this perfectly. Because Beda and Abeda is there. That is, the absolute truth is Bhagavan. He is the original, the full feature of the absolute truth is actually Bhagavan. Still, he has Brahman and Paramatma. How it is possible? That is Achintya, because he is non-dual also. So while being non-dual, he is also manifesting three different features. So that is the Achintya Beda of the absolute truth. And usually people we assume that Brahman is only Sat feature, Paramatma is only Sat and Chit feature, and Bhagavan Satchidananda feature. So it is not that Brahman lacks Chit and Ananda. It is those who practice a particular sadhana like Jnana sadhana or Yoga sadhana, they realize Brahman, only the Sat aspect of the Brahman they can realize. So the realization of Brahman is only Sat feature, but Brahman itself has Sat, Chit and Ananda. So how to explain this is like, say for example, see, it's easy for me to give this gulab jamun example. Okay, let me make a cheesecake. Okay, so if I'm baking, if somebody is baking a cheesecake, you enter an apartment, so you immediately know something is being baked. There is like the fragrance right in the hallway. You will experience the fragrance, and that is like the Brahman experience. And then you go in, it is arranged on a nice tray with like a blueberry topping, and then you're seeing, oh wow, this cheesecake looks amazing. So that's like the Paramatma realization. But only when you eat it, you will experience the full experience of the you will be able to relish the full experience of the cheesecake. So that is like the Bhagavan aspect, where all the three features are involved, because when we are eating, we can experience the flavor, we can experience the texture, we can also experience the taste. Everything is included in the aspect. So now the main aspect of reason for telling this analogy is cheesecake inherently has flavor, texture, color, and then taste. Everything is there. But when we access the cheesecake through our nose, all we can experience is only the smell. When we experience the cheesecake through our eyes, what we can experience is only the color, maybe the texture, like that. That's all we can see. The form only we can access. But when we engage it in, when we actually experience like taste, like when we use the tongue, so it can taste also, apart from just experiencing the texture, it can also taste. So what kind of a sadhana we do, that also limits our experience of the absolute truth. Brahman itself has Sachidananda aspect, Paramatma has Sachidananda aspect. Bhagavan also, Bhagavan is the personification. Prabhupada writes one here. He is the combination of these three transcendental features: truth, knowledge, and bliss. And he is the object of worship for the followers of Upanishads, Brahma realized. So Prabhupada is saying Krishna is the combination of this. Krishna's body is Sachidananda. So the kind of sadhana that the Gyanis may practice, like in this particular translation, it is being said that Gyanis engaged in studying the Upanishads. So they may be engaged in studying the Upanishads, but through that process, they cannot experience the form of the Lord, the eternal, unlimited, full of knowledge and bliss forms which are existing beyond the influence of time, that cannot be experienced through the Jnana Yoga sadhana or the Ashtanga Yoga sadhana. It's only means they can only access the Brahman feature or the Paramatma feature. And even for that, even if they want to realize Brahman, now the question is, okay, they are only focused about Brahman and Paramatma. Not everyone who wants to experience Brahman and Paramatma can experience Brahman and Paramatma. The qualification is that to experience even Brahman and Paramatma, one should understand the Supreme Lord through devotion. There should be bhakti in the process. Only then they will be able to achieve Brahman or Paramatma. What do you mean by that? Say, for example, if a person considers the form of the Lord as temporary, manifested because of illusion, he is that Brahman, the Paramarthika Brahman, manifesting as Vyavaharika Brahman. No, this kind of word jugglery, if anybody has, they will not be able to experience Brahman and Paramatma. Only that person who understands Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, these are all the features of the absolute truth, and the absolute truth has an eternal form. I am interested in realizing Brahman. They are not averse to understanding that the Supreme Lord has an eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss form. If they are not averse to it, but rather they choose to experience him as the Brahman feature of the absolute truth, then only they can actually experience Brahman or Paramatma feature. So they have to engage in devotional service. So somebody may question, so then how is it not considered Bhakti Yoga if they are engaging in devotion? Because Prabhupada is writing, this proves that Brahman and Paramatma can actually be understood only through devotion. So why are not they Bhakti Yogis, they are Jnana Yogis or Ashtanga Yogis? Because in the part of their sadhana, Bhakti is an element. Bhakti is something to achieve the goal of Brahman or Paramatma. However, in Bhakti Yoga, it is the means, it is the goal. There is no other aspiration. So that is what is qualifying our sadhana as Bhakti sadhana. And a Jnana Yogi who might be worshipping deity or meditating on the form of the Lord or chanting the holy names, for him, it is not considered as Bhakti Yoga sadhana because his focus is, I want to use this Bhakti to experience Brahman or Paramatma. So Bhakti is a means to achieve the goal. He will give up the process of Bhakti at that time. So that is why it is part of their Jnana Yoga sadhana. It is not Bhakti Yoga. But whereas in Bhakti Yoga, the beginning and the end, it's all the same processes. Hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna is what the process and the goal. So that's why Srila Prabhupada is beautifully summarizing that we should discuss Srimad Bhagavatam daily, and then everything will be clarified, for Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedic literature. So Prabhupada says, the more we read Srimad Bhagavatam, the more its knowledge becomes clear. Each and every verse is transcendental. So this is the Bhakti Yoga sadhana. We read Bhagavatam, And through that process, we understand more. And the more we understand, the more we want to read Bhagavatam. Usually in this world, say for example, if someone really loves like it's warm, it's cold, right? So someone loves like warm apple cider, they want to drink. So okay, once you like really like want to drink, like you drank like a liter of it, you're like tired of it. You don't want anything more. Like you don't want it again. At least for that day, I'm like done with it. There is no need of that. But but when one experiences Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam, they are fully satisfied, but they are hankering for more. They don't want to stop it. So this kind of an experience is not possible with material things, because there is a break of time with material things. If I really love something and I eat or drink or experience it so much, then I really want a break. I want variety. But with Krishna, he is the source of all varieties. When a devotee experiences Krishna, he is satisfied, but he is hankering for more. He does not want a break. So that's why the gopis are singing like Yasyananam Makarakundala Charukarna Brajat Kapola Subagam Savilasa Hasam Nityottavam Natatrupur Drishabi Pivantyo Naryo Naras Shamudita Kupita Nimesha. Kupita Nimesha. They are becoming angry with their eyelids. Why they are closing? Because they are experiencing Krishna. Yasyananam Makarakundala Charukarna. Because he is they are glorifying the form of the Lord, one who has Makarakundal, one who has fish-shaped earrings. Charu Karnam, Brajat Kapola Subagam Savilasa Hasam. His smile is being experienced. So in this way, when they are experiencing the face of Krishna, the beautiful face of Krishna, na titrupur, means they are satisfied. They are not satisfied in the sense they are hankering for more. So here the satisfaction means, except Krishna, they don't want anything else. That is the level of satisfaction. That is called satisfaction. Means, are you satisfied with life? If people think about it, yeah, I'm satisfied, but it would be best if I had this also. Then that's not technically satisfaction. Here, these devotees, na tatrupur, they want more of Krishna, but they don't want anything other than Krishna. So that is why it is satisfaction and hankering at the same time. Na tatrupur drishabi pibantyo. They are drinking with their eyes Krishna's beauty, but after drinking, they are not satisfied. They are, in the sense, they are wanting more. So na tatrupur drishabi pibantyo naryo narascha mudita kupita nimesha. That's why they can't even stop it for like we don't even realize that we all blink. And that is the amount of time they are missing Krishna's form, and even that they cannot tolerate. So that kind of a beautiful form, that the same Brahmaji will glorify the form later when his prayers begin. Naumidhyate abra upushe taditambaraya gunjavatamsa paripichala sanmukhaya vanyashraje kavala vetra vishana venum lakshma shriye mrudupade pashupangajaya. He will glorify the same form of the Lord, who is standing before him within his left hand a ball of yogurt rice and a pickle tucked in between the fingers. He will glorify that form of the Lord. And here also we can see how Yogamaya is acting with Brahmaji. One section Prabhupada was explaining, he was saying how the manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys, cows, and the calves they were not displays of Vishnu Maya, but they were Vishnu himself. They were actually Vishnu himself. But if you see, it is very interesting. Krishna was with his cowherd boys and friends. When Brahmaji came, he was looking at Krishna. He was having darshan of Krishna. He was looking at the associates of Krishna, but he could not understand their original position. If he had understood, there was no question of testing. So that time on him, Mahamaya acted. He got covered. His intelligence got bewildered because his consciousness was not in the right place. So because of the external potency, he looked at Krishna, but he saw him as a small boy and wanted to play trick with him. However, when he is seeing Krishna now, it's not the Mahamaya acting on him, it's Yogamaya revealing to him, because Krishna is sanctioning. So first of all, Krishna covered his own associates. and manifested Maya Arbaka. That's what Brahmaji took. So where they were, Krishna just covered them. They were there, but they were covered. But Brahma could not see. He took the other covered boys and the set of the duplicate set he took. And when he came back, Krishna was playing with covered boys and calves. So who were they? They were actually Vishnu. But Brahma was not seeing them as Vishnu. He was just seeing them as covered boys and calves. So that time Yogamaya covered the original covered boys and then revealed Vishnu forms as covered boys and calves to Brahma. And when he is going back and forth to check what is going on, and when he comes back, he sees that is also, they are also there still, and here also there is a set. So what is happening? He is bewildered. And then suddenly Krishna is showing them as Vishnu forms. So the Yogamaya covered the original set, showed him a duplicate set, and again covered the Vishnu forms as covered boys, and now revealing as Vishnu forms. So this is all Yogamaya show, enabling him to see. And finally, what would happen? All those forms, all those Vishnu forms also will be covered, and only Krishna will be seen. Only Krishna with the same ball of yogurt rice in his hand, tucked with a pickle in his between his fingers, one who was searching for his calves and covered boys, that form will be revealed to Brahma again. He will again, all of them will disappear. All the Vishnu forms who are taking now, assuming appearing as taking the form of calves and covered boys, they will all be not seen by Brahma, and on Krishna, Brahma will only see Krishna. And this is all because of the effect of Yogamaya on Brahmaji. So when Yogamaya wants to reveal, it can reveal. But what is the difference between Yogamaya and Mahamaya? Mahamaya reveals something which is not there. Like Brahmaji looked at Krishna and thought he is material. He is like any other human being. So that is called illusion. You are seeing that which is not true. But when Yogamaya was revealing to Brahmaji, what he was seeing is true forms. That's why Prabhupada is saying they were not displays of Vishnu Maya or Vishnu energy. They were Vishnu himself. And Yogamaya was revealing the truth to Brahmaji. So that is the role of Yogamaya. Yogamaya reveals what is truth, but covers some aspect of truth and reveals some aspect of truth necessary for the pastime to unfold. That is the role of Yogamaya. But Mahamaya, whether it reveals or whether it covers, it's all the covering. Whether it reveals in full or half, everything is illusion. So that is the role of, then when Kamsa took the baby from Devaki, the eighth girl from the Devaki, he was not touching Yogamaya, he was touching Mahamaya. Actually, that's another whole topic. But what we are saying is when this whole pastime is following Agasur's killing. So when Agasur looked at Krishna, it was like, no, not that he was looking at the transcendental form or realizing the transcendental form. The eyes are meeting the form of Krishna. That's not where the important thing. They were able to see Krishna, but they could not see his original transcendental position because Mahamaya was covering them because of their consciousness. So does Yashodamai, what is her position? Where she is also looking at Krishna. She is also not realizing he is God. So what is covering? Is Yogamaya covering Yashodamai? More than Yogamaya, it is her Vatsalya Prem that is covering her consciousness. She is so engrossed in the mood of a mother, that's why she is considering him as her own son, not bothered about his godhood. So it is not Yogamaya covering. Then what is the difference between Brahmaji and Yashodamai? Yashodamai is not a Yogamaya covering. She is filled with Vatsalya Prem, the epitome of the love of Krishna in the form of parentalhood. So her own Vatsalya absorption is causing her to see Krishna as a small boy. So absorption in Krishna can lead to the realization of Krishna's transcendental form, and accordingly, Yathamam Prapadyante, Krishna will also manifest accordingly. If someone like Yashodamai is so much absorbed in the form of Krishna as her son, then Krishna also becomes absorbed in the same mood as she's my mother and I'm her son, and if she beats me, I can be hurt, and he's fearful. So it is said that how means Krishna was bound during the Damodar Leela. He was just bound and he was sitting outside. So Balaramji comes and then he says, "Oh, Krishna, what happened? I told you so many times, don't cause this mischief. I told you so many times, don't steal, don't break the yogurt pots or the butter pots, don't steal. I advised you so many times. Every time you only picked up on me. You went and complained to Mother Yashoda that that Balramji is like not teasing me. He's joining the other friends and he is like pulling my legs. He's hurting me. You always complained about me, that you didn't listen to my advice. You see, you are now suffering the karma of your own activities that you stole all these days, and now you're suffering for that karma. So this is right. You should not do it hereafter. This is a good lesson for you." And he says, Krishna is saying, "No, that's all fine, but please release me." So he tries to release, but he cannot, because it was tied with the love of Mother Yashoda. Actually, after this whole thing, Krishna goes and relieves the two trees like Nalakuver and Manigriva. So they assume they are demigod forms and then they are praying. So while they're praying, they're thinking, we are unbound, but Krishna is still bound. So let's help him. Like, because he unbound us from this bondage, let us also unbind, release Krishna from his bondage. So they are trying to release. And Krishna is saying, don't even like try, like you don't need to worry about that. That's a different thing going on. You don't have the strength. It's only the person who tied the knot can open the knot. Nobody else can open this knot, because that was tied with her prem, that was with her love. So he told Nalakuer and Manigriva, don't even bother. You just go back. That's your job is done. You don't try that. That's not going to happen with your strength, with your amount of love. But Balaramji tries, but he also cannot. So he becomes so angry. Who has tied? So he's not like, he's just like yelling. He knows who has tied. He's just yelling, who has tied? Because of seeing Krishna's position, his godhood appears. So he's like really roaring, who has tied Krishna? And Mother Yashoda is busy in her household affairs, and then she is like suddenly hearing some commotion outside. So she comes outside. She's having like a cooking spoon in her hand and comes out. Okay, what is the noise here? So she looks at Balram and he's yelling, who has tied? And Yashodamai asks him, what is your problem? What's your problem? Like, okay, whoever has tried, what is your problem? He says, do you understand? This is Krishna. Do you know who he is? Okay, forget him. Who are you? She says, I am Ananta. I am Anantadev. If with my one like blow, the whole Brahmanda can be burnt out with the fire that comes from my mouth. And if you don't release him now I'll just set the whole Vrindavan on fire. Like, will burn Vrindavan. Just, oh, okay. Then who is Krishna? You are Anantadev. Who is Krishna? He is Narayan himself. He is the supreme Lord from whom all the incarnations appear. Oh, all incarnations have to come to my home only? Like the source of all incarnations, and all incarnations have to appear in my home? And he says, you don't understand. You will understand now if I beat you with this spoon. Then you will completely understand what I am trying to tell you. Yashodamaya scolds Balramji, if I hold you and give a good beating, you will clearly understand what is Tattva. And then he becomes fearful. Suddenly he realizes, oh, this is not going to work. Then he turns to Krishna and says, this is your business. Just let me like not get into this. So he runs away. So in this way, Mother Yashoda is completely absorbed in her love for Krishna. So her knot cannot be released by anybody else, nor by Balramji, nor by Manigriva, Nalakuvar. Nobody else could release. Only she has to come and untie, because that transcendental form of the Lord, who has even all the universes in his belly, he is tied with the rope by the love of Mother Yashoda. So that is why Krishna is saying here, Prabhupada is saying here, only through bhaktyaham ekyagrahi, only through the loving devotion, that the form of the Lord could be realized, not through study of Upanishads, austerities, Ashtanga Yoga. It is not possible. So that is what is the purport of this whole verse, that the form of the Lord is unlimited, eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, and it can only be realized through devotion, not through any other means of understanding or intelligence or our senses. So that is the main purport. So we need the main point is Krishna's form is Sachidananda Vigraha. It's Venum Konantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatamsam Asitam Buddha Sundarangam. So he's holding a flute. Yeah, he's holding a flute. Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham. His eyes are like lotus petal forms. And in this way, his body, his form is transcendental. And it is said, he is always bending in threefold form. Because it is said, the gopis are scolding the flute. The flute is such a heavy thing that because whenever he plays flute, he bends in three places. So the flute is so heavy. So they are actually scolding the flute. They're saying he who lifted the Govardhan mountain, he did not bend like that with the weight of Govardhan. He easily lifted with his pinky finger. But this flute is so heavy, just whenever he plays the flute, he bends in threefold forms. So the Lord is bending in threefold form, and also he is having this beautiful eyes and beautiful form. That is what is the goal of. That's what we wanted to be relished by the Vrindavan Vasis. They are not interested in knowing who is this Supreme Lord. So they are just engaged in relishing the beauty of the Supreme Lord. And that's possible only because they have the loving devotion. So that's what we are here to understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, that through the process of Bhakti Yoga, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna's pastimes, in this way, we will be eventually able to realize the form of the Lord. With our own eyes, we'll be able to serve the Supreme Lord. However, the same Supreme Lord, out of his mercy, is also appearing as the deity form for us to serve, for us to take darshan, for us to engage in all the other activities centered around him. So that is the whole mercy of Krishna, that he is even manifesting his transcendental form here for us to experience, because we are unable to otherwise. So this is what today we can take few points from this purport of Srila Prabhupada and Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There is a question from Mother Gail. Yes.
Hi. I'm sorry, I have a bad voice today. Yeah, there's some clarification I need about this. The three aspects of Krishna. So, as you said, it's not that there's three separate entities. It's just different aspects of the one entity, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And so, therefore, when we say that we have Paramatma in the heart, right? That should mean that all three aspects are within our heart. Maybe we don't realize those three aspects. Maybe we only realize, Brahman aspect, Paramatma aspect, But isn't it true that all three aspects are there? And if that is so, then why wouldn't it be that even for a sadhaka, right? That same Bhagavan who is having rasa dance with Radharani and the gopis, should he not also be in our heart, whether we can realize him in that form or not? Should he not also be in our heart? And for that matter, in every atom?
Yeah. So you're saying for devotees, is it that should the Lord be not revealed in their hearts in his original form, rather than being Paramatma form? Is that the question?
Well, not revealed, but is he not there?
Can we have the lights? Yeah.
Is he, we may not be advanced enough to realize that his, rasa dance form is in our heart. But isn't it there? Because we cannot separate Bhagavan from Paramatma or Paramatma from Brahman. All three aspects coexist. So whether we can realize those aspects or not, shouldn't all three be in each of our hearts and in each and every atom? since they cannot be separated.
Yeah, means I means your question is, wherever the absolute truth is present, all the three features should be present.
Yes.
It's a non-duals.
Yes.
Okay. I cannot say I fully grasp this topic, but my understanding is like, because it is achintya, in the Brahman, because the Prabhupada gives this example of sun, sunshine, and sun, sunshine, and the sun god. He gives this example to clarify that the sunshine is a matter of the thoughts. The sun also. Brahman is one feature, or at the same time, it is non-dual. It is non-different. However, Krishna also has his personal form as the Bhagavan. So, means the time is also not there. It's a big topic also. So we will take it some other time. Is that fine? Maybe we can connect.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay.
Yeah, I need to go on. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Gaura Sharan Prabhu ki jai. Krishna is dancing in Gaura Sharan's heart. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
No, we're waiting for the conch shell to blow.
Yeah, it's kind of nice this afterglow. Oh, it looks so nice today.
Okay, technically,
Huh?
Somehow or other we can hear. This is Amrit Krishna Prabhu. All right. Okay. Takeaways time. Adipusha Prabhu, what's your takeaway? Or Angel?
Well, this is an interesting pastime. Gail, of course, asked the best question. And the answer is there. Sharan said it's a matter of our vision that Krishna's there. And Prabhupada says beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Some people are seeing clearly, partially, or fully. And based on our devotion, Krishna chooses not to reveal himself to anyone and everyone, but he can show himself to us in all his features if we want. Here, Brahma doesn't see Krishna as Krishna, and then Krishna out mysticizes him, and then he sees. We're engaged in the process, and we're making our mistakes, and Krishna's working in our life to help us to see him and see the love he has for us. I have to I have two things in my hand. Okay, let's hear what anybody else. Gail, are you there still?
Yeah. So what I hear you saying that is that, Krishna in his Bhagavan form, he is there in our hearts, but due to our lack of devotion, he doesn't reveal the fact that that aspect of himself is there.
Krishna's right there in your house.
Yeah.
He's right there with you, sitting there, right? Isn't he?
Yeah. So in other words, it's not a matter of whether he's there or not. It's a matter of whether he's revealed that he's there or not.
Yeah, it's a function of our vision. If you're out in the sunshine, but you turn away from the sun or you put a bag over your head, the sun is still there, but because of our ridiculous, distraction, we don't see. It looks like Beam is ready to jump in. He's got his cowboy hat on. Beamer, what do you got to say there, cowboy?
Not much, partner. You just go on talking about bags over the heads. I'm going to go get me a bag and put it over my head.
Then you won't see Krishna. But he'll be there in the bag with you.
Yeah, and I'll be fighting my way out.
Okay. Anybody else? Who else wants to say something?
Rich wants to say something.
Yeah, Rich. He lights up as soon as he starts talking. It's amazing. Usually has his game face on. And then as he starts talking, there's a big smile.
Well, pardon these. I don't have enough time to collect my thoughts. They usually come out a little bit convoluted, but I'll give it my best to express.
We want to hear
today's reflections. Okay, so Gaura Sharan presented in today's class a handful of interesting apparent paradoxes, starting with Krishna, God, is non-dual, and yet he has three, maybe even infinite forms. There's one paradox. Another is that in Bhakti, right? Exactly, apparent paradox. It's and then secondly, in Bhakti, devotional service is both the means and the end. And the gopis are simultaneously satisfied, but hankering
for more. That's a cool one. Yeah.
And so, and then at the beginning of the
cheesecake analogy. If you have it, you might be able to appreciate one aspect of the cheesecake with your eyes, or with your nose, but then you don't get the taste. But
absolutely,
but it doesn't mean the cheesecake isn't there.
Absolutely. And and then further to that point, and then further to I love Gail's question. And just just a thought there. Well, at the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada was making that wonderful point that expert knowledge, expert descriptions, study, analytical interpretation is not a very good means by which to attain Krishna. Ultimately, you have to be chosen. It's the mercy of Krishna. It's the mercy of the devotees that you must beg for.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, it's our linear analytical minds are not a very good mechanism by which to attain Krishna. But to Gail's point, and I don't, even Gaura Sharan said his understanding of this topic is limited. So what's that to say of mine? But anyhow, I like to reflect sometimes that when we pray, we eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I think that's simultaneously a metaphor, but I think it's a telling metaphor that it's not that our heads need to be crammed with all sorts of intellectual information. It's just that we need to open our eyes and see what's right in front of our faces. And likewise, Arjuna's last words to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita were, by your grace, by your instruction, my memory is restored. It's not that he learned something new necessarily. He's just remembering what he already knew, which is that God within us, and even we are in our own jiva essences are eternal, knowledgeable, and blissful. And just one last paradox on a day of gratitude, Thanksgiving. Let us all be both grateful and satisfied, but also let us also be begging and hankering for more service, for the ability to more fully devote our attention and our minds and our bodies and our words to Krishna's glory. And once again, I know I do this every day, but thank you all for your little Brady Bunch darshan that you give me every day. and I'm thankful that I can in my mind chant with you and pay my obeisance to you every day. I hanker for more tomorrow.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Rich. Thank you, Rich Prabhu. Yeah, and let's not forget that it's not that we're seeing Krishna, it's also that Krishna is seeing us. Let's not forget about that aspect of the paradox. Krishna is the seer. We're the seen. Who else wants to share?
I'd like to share a reflection if I can.
William Prabhu?
Yeah, wonderful class, and I do love the Brady Bunch devotees and friends. I just want to reflect on the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian Greek scriptures when Jesus said to those disciples who were saying, "Show us God, show us the form of God." He says, "Those who are worshiping God should worship Him in spirit and truth." And that was mentioned today, the Bhagavatam, truth and spirit. And in the Hebrew scriptures, when Moses went up to get the 10 Commandments, right, the Israelites lost faith. They lost faith. And they said, well, we need someone who we need to. So they built a molten statue of a calf. So I think it was a golden calf, right? Because they were lacking faith, they were lacking love, they were lacking spirit. So they didn't see. So Moses came down and he furiously broke the tablets. So I think, my reflection is we have to be careful not to lose our patience, not to lose our faith as well. That's just my take.
Thank you, William Prabhu.
Thank you, Krishna.
Okay.
It's a good take.
What was that, Bhima Prabhu? What was that brief reflection that you shared?
I said both Rich and William had very wonderful reflections. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, so on this Thanksgiving Day, we would like to thank you profoundly for being part of this little community. It's as real as in person, even though we're online. So it feels very real, very nourishing. By Krishna's grace, this Zoom is, is our faculty. I can see William, Gail, I can see Snow White Krishna, Rich Bhakti, all of you. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaura Sharan Prabhu ki jai. We have Thanksgiving every day. Thanks go to Krishna. Thanks goes to Krishna and the Guru and the devotees. Okay, love you all. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.